Welcome to Within the Frame, where we bring you today's most pressing issues from across the globe into focus. I'm Kim Mok-yeon. Now, early trends in South Korea's stock market for the beginning of 2025 show notable shifts in the won-dollar exchange rate. The won, which surged past 14.51 against the dollar at the end of 2024, has been fluctuating into the mid-1400s range. However, political risks and potential market volatility are raising concerns about further fluctuations, possibly pushing the won beyond 1500 and even 1600 if instability persists. Meanwhile, the domestic stock market, hovering around the 2,500-point level, is showing signs of foreign investor optimism, raising questions about whether the market has hit rock bottom. For a closer look at the domestic financial situation, we invite Shim Myung-kyu, Associate Professor of Economics at Yonsei University. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you for having me.
So the rapid surge in the Korean won-US dollar exchange rate at the end of last year has now fallen to the 14.51 range just 8 days into the new year. What domestic and international factors contribute to the exchange rate?
I can think of 3 domestic factors and 1 international factor behind the scene. First, we see a lot of turbulence in Korea. The attempt of the acting president, Kim Mok-yeon, to stabilize the financial market and the economy seems to work, at least until now. Second, strategic hedge by the National Pension Service, estimated at up to $50 billion, seems to signal the exchange rate market that Korea has another tool to keep the value of Korean won, and it worked up to this point again. Third, the government and the BOK's promise to deploy unlimited liquidity into the financial market in order to fight against the rapid rise of $1 exchange rate also seem to work. So all these efforts by the domestic institutions seem to work together to relieve the domestic and foreign investors' concerns on the Korean economy. And one possible international factor is the news that the tariff policy by the president-elect in U.S., Donald Trump, can be less tight than expected, which lowers the concerns of the global investors because it might not disrupt the international trade a lot, and the worries over the Korean economy, which heavily depends on the trade, may have become eased.
Right, but despite those possibilities, there are forecasts suggesting that if domestic political risks continue, the won-dollar exchange rate could rise above 1,500 and even reach 1,600 won. Professor, how would you view this, and what factors are at play here?
Yes, I also worry about the possibility that the drop in the exchange rate may be just a temporary observation. First, either BOK or National Pension Service will not be able to put liquidity to the market that long. Let me explain why the BOK cannot provide liquidity to stabilize the financial market that long in particular. This is mainly because greater liquidity lowers the value of Korean won, and it will eventually push the inflation rate upward and will be another big threat on the Korean economy. Moreover, the foreign reserve, which is one of the key instruments to stabilize the financial market, has already decreased by about 10% during the last 2 years, while the value of Korean won has plummeted. While there was an announcement by the BOK that they have enough reserves, and it actually increased in December, we still need to notice that there is a possibility that the reserve can deplete faster than we think. Third, if the political issue surrounding us is not resolved that soon, it will reignite the worry over the Korean economy, and capital outflow will continue again. First, nobody is really sure what will be the actual economic policy in the new administration in the US, and so it is really premature to say if the global trade will not be shocked by the new president-elect. Given that we cannot really control for the foreign factors, I think the key to keep stabilizing the financial market and the exchange rate is to resolve all the political issues as soon as possible.
Now, let's turn to the stock market. The domestic stock market has been fluctuating around the 2,500 point level since the start of the year. And foreign investors who had been following a sell Korea strategy last year have started to buy stocks from the beginning of this year. Professor, do you think this could mean the domestic stock market is at an extremely low point now?
In my opinion, sorry, it is still premature to conclude that South Korea's 30s is over. Let me first point out that while KOSPI index was about 2,400 points at the beginning of the last year, but it climbed up to over 2,800 in July. It then steadily decreased over time while fluctuating around the trend. Looking back how the index fluctuated over the last 6 months seems to give us the idea if we can be sure that the current index level was the lowest or not. While the index declined steadily over the last 6 months, it sometimes showed a reversal, and that reversal persisted about 2 weeks in the last year. So from the chartistic view, this implies that the rally over the last week is not enough to expect that the stock market will be a bull market over the next few months. In addition, in the long run, I believe that the fundamental of the Korean economy will be the most important factor determining the stock price. In this sense, again, the political situation should end very soon so that high political uncertainty that can lower the incentive of the firms to invest or conduct R&D activities can make the fundamental of the Korean economy strong again.
Right, so it all centers back into restoring the current political turmoil. Now, Professor, on January 16th, the first monetary policy meeting of the year will take place, and there are differing views on whether interest rates will be lowered starting from January to stimulate the economy, or if rates will be kept unchanged due to domestic political instability, of course, and high exchange rates. What's your outlook on this?
Well, I think the best strategy for the BOK at this point is to take the wait and see strategy, so it can keep the rate at the current level. Let me first point out that the BOK has already cut the target rate in the 2 consecutive meetings last year. Given that there are still many threats on the Korean economy to lower the interest rate further, I would like to suggest that the BOK should hold the target rate in the upcoming meeting. According to a recent speech by the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, it seems that the Fed might not lower the interest rate further or even increase it, which actually gives more room for the BOK to wait more than to decide right now. Importantly, there is also a huge uncertainty on the global economy this year after Donald Trump becomes the president of the US again. As an example, his trade policy might reignite the inflation rate in the very near future, because it can be a push factor on the interest and it can be a push factor on the interest rate. Also, recent political event in South Korea also lowers the value of Korean won a lot, which cannot be sustained at the current level with low domestic interest rate, because foreign and domestic investors might sell Korean won further and take a flight to quality strategies. Overall, I think the optimal strategy for the BOK is to wait until all the uncertainty level surrounding the inflation rate, political environment, and the Fed's stance on the monetary policy becomes low.
Right, so we'll have to see until the 16th. Now, meanwhile, Professor, the government has designated the 27th, the day before the Lunar New Year holiday, as a temporary public holiday. Do you think this would have a positive effect on boosting domestic consumption and stimulating tourism?
Yeah, my answer is yes, but the effect is very limited. Particularly, I do not think that if such a policy will further stimulate the aggregate economy as a whole, because contribution of domestic consumption to GDP growth is very low in Korea. I can understand the current situation that the government wants to boost domestic demand or consumption with additional holiday, but I expect that it will have at least a very partial and transitory effect. According to the Statistics Korea, expenditure with credit card increased during Chuseok in 2023 when there also was a temporary public holiday. But there are two important factors that drive consumption at this point. First is policy uncertainty that originated from the last month's event, which is usually believed to be a factor that lowers consumption. Particularly, consumer spending plan index dropped by more than 6% in December, which reached the lowest level since 2022. And second is the plane crash, which lowered consumer sentiment. In October 2022, there was another tragedy in Taiwan, and the index lowered by about 3%. So this may lower the consumer sentiment further, so that in January, so the consumption cannot increase than what the government expects. And also the consumers lowered their evaluation of the current state of the economy from 70 in this November to 52 in December, which was really a huge drop. So all this imply that the designation of the temporary holiday seems to have very limited effect. And I am also skeptical about the expectation that one additional holiday can boost domestic travel because it is just 2 weeks from now. And most of the travels, especially travel to foreign countries, would have been already scheduled. And the numbers of people adjusting the plan would be small, so that the effect would be somewhat limited.
Right. Despite the skeptic outlook, let's still hope for the holiday to provide a glimpse of boost to the domestic consumption and also offer an opportunity for everyone to take a break and recharge before the busy months ahead. Professor, thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you.
While South Korea's financial markets navigate early 2025 volatility, this year's CES in Las Vegas is spotlighting AI as a transformative force for industries worldwide. With strong Korean representation, particularly in semiconductors, the event underscores how AI is shaping both the global economy and local markets. Now, for the latest on the developments at this year's Consumer Electric Show, we connect to Sung-soo Eric Kim, founder and CEO of DataCrunch Global and adjunct professor at Yonsei Graduate School of Business. Great to have you, Professor.
Thank you for having me today.
So let's take a look at CES 2025, which opened on January 7th in Las Vegas. Now, this year's central theme is AI with the slogan Connect, Solve, Discover, and Dive In. What do you think the message behind this theme is?
So the AI theme has been running for 3 years, since 2023, when the theme was about when companies start to showcase AI integration and smart mobility since after the launch of ChatGPT in 2022. And last year was all about AI and robotics. Now, this year is about dive in. That means that companies have already experienced the use cases of AI, and now it's to discuss about the future and how we actually connect these AI technologies in our real lives. So I think that really summarizes the technology of this year, Dive In itself.
Mm-hmm. And this year specifically, 4,000 companies from 160 countries are participating in the CES. Professor, how are domestic companies represented in the occasion? And in particular, which kind of AI technologies showcased by Korean firms are noteworthy?
So I think that we have to note that 900 Korean companies have joined CES this year as Team Korea. I think that's a very significant number. Most of them are SMEs. I think that's a very good thing as well, that not only large companies are joining CES, but our strong small and medium enterprises are also joining CES. We should note a couple of key showcases on CES. From LG, we saw that life's good 24/7 with affectionate intelligence. I think this is the key concept of LG, trying to ensemble AI technology with people's real life. So using AI to assist humans, lifestyle, and analyzing their lifestyle to provide a more tailored services, the key for LG's AI drive. For Samsung Electronics, they have a concept as AI for all. And I would summarize that it's more about experience and connectivity within their white electronics platform. And we also have to note that SK showcased their 5th generation 16th high HBM3E sample, which will be used for future NVIDIA chips and also AI data centers. So I think the technology that showcased was very significant, and it shows that Korea is still leading in a lot of domains in AI, especially in the chip sector.
Right, so it will be good for us to look forward to more developments in the area. Now, another key highlight of CES 2025 was the keynote address by Jensen Huang, CEO of Nvidia, and this was his first appearance in 6 years and his first keynote in 8 years, mind you. Now, what new revisions did he propose regarding AI during his speech?
So I think it was timely for him to join CES. And also give a keynote because he's a superstar right now. NVIDIA is the company in the AI scene because of their GPU, which are essential for AI development. And what was significant about this year's CES presentation is their vision to move against a chip manufacturer, a graphical manufacturer, but also introduce a AI platform for developers called Cosmos, which is a physical AI platform used for robotics and machinery, etc. And the other thing was the introduction of a plan, announcement of a plan for their desktop. Anybody use, high-end computer with high-end GPUs, which is called Project Digit. It's only $3,000. So any kind of a AI developer can pretty much use the capacity of a full server at their desktop to develop AI models. So I think those two were very, very significant as his vision of transforming NVIDIA beyond a graphic chip company to a platform and a solution provider for the core AI development.
Now, after his meeting with SK Group Chairman Choi Tae-won, Jensen Huang mentioned, "I'm confident that Samsung will supply HBM, which is high bandwidth memory, to NVIDIA." Professor, how can Korean semiconductor companies collaborate or compete with NVIDIA in advancing AI technology?
So I think the key interest of CES 2025 as a Korean standpoint was whether Chairman Choi will meet Jensen Huang. And that really happens because they had narratives like last year, April, Chairman Choi visited the HQ of NVIDIA and had the conversation going on. And during this year's meeting, they agreed, Jensen Huang invited SK to join their Cosmo platform for physical AI, and I think that was significant. And also, they asked to provide the 6th generation HBM4 in advance. So the conversation going on is really important, and it's really important to also build a strategic alliance between companies because SK is the most dominant provider of HBM to NVIDIA. So those two companies should cooperate as a strategic partner. Samsung also would have to catch up on this technology, especially in the HBM domain, overcoming their technological difficulties that they're showing right now in order to still become the semiconductor leader in the world. And I think that all starts from dialogue. So I would like to see more dialogues between NVIDIA and Samsung Electronics as well to discuss of how they are going to form future partnership and strategic alliance. And I think it's very, very important for our country because semiconductor accounts for 20% of our exports. So semiconductors are strategic assets, and also it accounts a lot for our economy. So the strategic alliance should go on a global scale.
Right, so let's look forward to more cooperation from Samsung and NVIDIA. Now, before we let you go, Professor Kim, based on your insights from CES 2025, how do you foresee the future of AI? And do you think this year's CES will be a platform that dispels the ongoing concerns about an AI bubble that has been discussed since last year?
Well, AI bubble, I'm not sure that's anymore really applicable, because if you look at the current technology of AI, you would be very surprised of what AI can really do. If we're talking about a, GAI, it will take a couple of years, of course. If you're talking about AI that will surpass human intelligence, it will take a couple of years. But AI application is right now here. So that's the reason why I think this year's theme is dive in, because we have the technology. Now it is to think about and showcase how the technology really is affecting our future, and how people's life is going to change, how business is going to change, how economy is going to change based on the full AI technologies. So I would summarize that now AI is real.
All right. Professor, thank you so much for your insights tonight. We will remember that now AI is real. We hope to speak to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that'll be all from us on Within the Frame. Be sure to tune in next time as we continue to explore the stories that matter. Until then, stay informed and engaged.